Hello everyone, my name is Ross the Alcheminiaturist, and this is my Primarch. Now as we get started on this video, there are a couple of things I want to say. The kits that I used are in the description, along with every single paint that I used during this build, and kitbash, conversion, paint, video, thing. The body was printed all as one solid unit to cut down the amount of items needing to be glued. I was able to make choices into what weapons and accessories I could print/use for this model. I attached the right hand that was holding the sword and then the left with the shield, as these would not give me any problems with painting or priming, as the way I attached them made spaces easier to get to. I then cut off the bottom pegs on the feet, as I didn't print the base that went with this file, as I wanted to use one of the bases I had in my studio, kicking around. Lion face pauldrons were then added, as they are the coolest of the non-heretic variety. Obviously, the winged ones are the best, as Emperor's children are literally the best, but that's heresy. On a completely unrelated but related note, why does superglue seem to work better on my fingers than it ever does on anything else? According to Google, cyanoacrylate adhesive, aka superglue, is highly hygroscopic, which means it creates extremely powerful bonds with water molecules. Skin contains a lot of water molecules. Back to the topic at hand, and no, I don't mean the glue on my fingers. I then glued the model to the base so I could have a better place to have my hands while I paint and finagle the model around, and I'm not getting my fingers and finger oils all over it. I did leave a lovely warning in the last one of these videos about comments, and someone asked to see my captain, and so I thought, well, what's better than a captain? Primarch. And these are cat girls in 40k. There are small cats and large cats. A lion is a large cat. Primarch, lion, the lioness. As always, I started painting with a primer of AK's white primer, and then added some of their black primer to give some shadow effects onto the model. Next I used Vallejo's Mutation Green for all of the armor. I wanted to have a good, solid visual complementary color to what I would be doing later, and this green was the best that I had to make sure that I was able to accomplish that. I'm a huge perfectionist. I don't know if that's translated well in the medium of the videos that I've presented to you so far, but I am. I hate when a plan or a color scheme does not go exactly how I see it going in my mind. There's something about not being 100% of the time that can drive me a little bonkers. So to try to get out of my head the notion that if it's not perfect, it's trash, I have taken a slap the paint on, clean it up after mentality. So you'll see me be a little bit more fast and loose with the painting in the base coating stage for this very reason. I also want to apologize for a little bloom and fuzziness that seems to be on the video. It's not you, it's me. I'm using a new recording device and it seems to hate me. My setup was for a 720p camera and now I've upgraded to a 4K, but I haven't really changed any of my other equipment around. I'll be fixing that over the next few videos. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Pro Akryl Coal Black for all of the blackish parts and parts that I didn't really want to be green. You need a variety of color schemes, and a black power pack and some accessories would be best in my opinion. Again, I'm making a little bit more deliberate yet broad strokes to make sure everything is covered and I can clean up the overpainting at a later stage. Pro Akryl Bright Gold for the Lion Pauldrons. Pro Akryl Bright Gold for the Lion Pauldrons. I thinned it a little too much, so it became more of a wash than a full-on paint one. But that's what doing two passes on things are for, right? I also used the gold for the trim of the shield. purposefully keeping it off the main white part of the shield as possible, as I had a plan for the iconography of the shield, and gold was not part of it at all. You know, not too much changes for a while, so I'm just going to let painting be painting for a while I go over a couple of neat things about actual lionesses I found out while researching them. This is not up to pad time out. No siree. Just me making sure that I stress why a lioness is factually better than a lion. Lionesses are highly social animals and typically live in prides consisting of related females and their offspring, along with a few adult males. The lionesses in a pride often work together in hunting and caring for their young. Lionesses are the primary hunters in a pride. They are known for their exceptional hunting skills, including stealth, teamwork, and speed. They usually hunt in groups, often using tactics to surround and bring down prey. Lionesses are territorial animals. They mark and defend their territory, which provides them with access to prey, water sources, and shelter. Territorial boundaries are crucial for the survival of the pride. Lionesses can reproduce throughout the year, but they often synchronize their reproductive cycles within a pride. This means that multiple lionesses within a pride may give birth to cubs around the same time. Cubs are cared for collectively by the adult females in the pride. Lionesses play a significant role in raising and protecting the cubs. They provide nourishment through nursing and also teach the cubs essential hunting and survival skills as they grow. I'm interrupting my facts to say I'm not talking about the cape, as I messed it up with a bad brush and wash, so I had to redo it with Citadel's Morghast bone, and then I left it the heck alone, mostly out of spite and anger and fear that I'd do it again. The offending brush got snapped and tossed out, so it could never harm another model ever again. Lionesses are smaller and lighter than male lions. They typically weigh between 260 and 400 pounds, and have a body length of 4.6 to 6.3 feet, which is crazy because they are as long as I am tall, or almost just. In the wild, lionesses typically have a shorter lifespan than male lions, surviving around 12 to 15 years on average. This is often due to physical demands of hunting and protecting their territory. Like all big cats, lionesses use vocalizations such as roars, growls, and calls to communicate with each other and the rest of the pride. These vocalizations are essential for maintaining social bonds and coordinating activities. Lionesses are adaptable and can thrive in various habitats, including grasslands, savannas, woodlands, and semi-arid areas. They are found in parts of Africa and are considered apex predators in their ecosystems. And finally, throughout history and across cultures, lions, including lionesses, have been held as symbolic importance. They are often associated with qualities such as courage, strength, and royalty, and have appeared in art, literature, and mythology. Not recorded was me painting her hair a combination of Warlord Purple and Agrax Pink from the Fluor experience by Scale Color. My cat girls are all from the Space Marine chapter, the Ultramarines. It may be a mouthful, but boy howdy, do I love it. On the tabletop, pending a few alterations/additions, provisos, and anything else the genie from Aladdin once said years and years ago, I'll be using the Dark Angels rules, as they have Lion L. Johnson, and I have, well, the Lioness L. Johnsdaughter, who I will argue is better than the lion. I took some of the aforementioned black and repainted the base, as the base needs some attention as well. Once the base was dry, I took some Vallejo medium sea gray in my dry brush and went to town, dry brushing the edges to lighten everything up. Next on the dry brushing block is Akryl's bold titanium white, again going over all of the edges, but just a little less than where the gray is, so that there's a slight distinction between the two, as one is a highlight and one is a highlight of a highlight. I always test my paint on my fingers when it comes to dry brushing, to make sure 100% that I have the right level of paint, as well as my dry brush is in fact dry. I've had some times where my dry brush isn't dry, and then I end up with a weird painting wet, hardly any paint, water onto my model, and then I have to wait until it's dry, and that's no fun. Unrecorded was me painting the skull and the shell casings, Screaming Skull from Citadel and Bright Gold from Akryl, respectively. Next, I added some of Akryl's bold Pyrrole Red to start on the lava-looking part of the base, because I have two other colors, the white and the gray, underneath this red. It gives the red more depth, much easier than it would be gained by just using red on the black. Last but not least, Deep Yellow by Vallejo for the finishing dry brushing on the base. I really wanted to create a nice and lovely glow to give the feeling of lava/burning at her feet. And by doing all of these layer steps, I really feel like it came together and portrayed what my mind was thinking. Calling back to what I was saying before, I don't want to be a perfectionist right off the gate. Slowly building up layers is way nicer and smarter to achieve said process. I jump around a bunch when I paint because I like to just paint and paint and paint, but I can't paint wet paint onto wet paint. Is that enough paints? So while the base was drying from its base coat of black paint, I went back and slapped some paint washes all over the model. Nuln Oil for the metals because it really is the best wash out there, hands down, and it makes me feel super happy to see what happens when it hits the recesses. I also used Agrax Earthshade for everything else to give it just a little bit more of a pop and a shade. Finally, it comes down to the last step, the freehand on the shield. I'm not going to say anything else about this image, just, hey, look, what a nice lovely kitty. Now freehand. I've never been one to really do or try freehand for a couple of reasons. One, perfectionism, and I've talked about this a lot in this video. Two, paint/brush control and consistency, which I really have to stress on taking only a little amount of paint as possible and slowly pulling it in the direction that you want to have the paint to go in short, deliberate strokes. Best thing that I would say, and my practice, is take as much paint as you think you need on your brush and half it. Then practice with that. Slow and steady wins this painting. Lastly, 3. My hands shake. Partially because I'm horribly addicted to coffee and energy drinks. As you know, if you've been to any of my live streams, whether gaming or hobbying, I usually have a coffee or an energy drink on hand, and I drink it fully within the first 10 to 15 minutes. And also partially, I just shake. So to combat this, I made sure that I have at least 3 points of contact and had my model a holding hand on the table to stop at least one hand from mostly shaking. And there you have it, the full built, painted, and based Lioness, Primarch of the Ultramarines, ready to lap up the competition. If you've made it this far, please consider liking this video, leaving a comment, and even hitting that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and your voice in the comments do actually help shape the content of this channel. Until next time, keep your brushes wet and your models painted. Goodbye.